Hey gang, Aaron Fisher here with a very special episode of the Card Magic Minute. Now, as you may or may not know, in a few weeks we're going to be starting a very special 8-week live online interactive course called Mastering Double Lifts and Turnovers. And to commemorate that, I'm going to be doing a series of special tutorials designed to share with you some specific concepts, tips, strategies, and techniques that you'll get specific online training with if you join us for the 8-week class. So I want to warn you to watch this video now because it's not going to be up and around forever. Now today we're going to talk a little bit about the Vernon double turnover. Now for the better part of a century now, over 50 years, Vernon's technique has been considered the gold standard in natural double turnovers. That is, it can be done so naturally, so casually, that no one would ever know that it happened. Vernon's double turnover. Now, it's a wonderful double turnover, but it's not quite as easy as it looks. Now, I'll start by saying it's really important that I note when I give you one of these specific techniques or one of these specific tips, I'm not trying to oversimplify the process or leave anything out because, as you may have guessed, there's an awful lot of details that go into every single aspect of any technique in card magic. So just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, when I work with a student on the double turnover, there's literally approximately 7 to 9 specific distinct phases that go into that double turnover sequence. So the one I want to talk about right now is the one that is particularly distinctive to the Vernon double turnover, or at least one of the main ones, and that is this moment right here. Vernon has you put this bend in the card, see? And this bend does a couple things. It makes it easier, simple to turn these cards over as one, like that, because that bend sort of brings them together. And in addition now, you've got this little bridge there, which you can barely probably see, but I assure you it's there, that allows you to do the second half of the turnover without getting another break. And that's sort of the genius of Vernon's specific technique. Now, as awesome as it is, it's not particularly easy to do because this bend is incredibly difficult, especially when you're first learning Magic, to hold this triangular space between the card and the deck without causing that double turnover to split. And I remember when I was younger and I was trying to learn this technique myself, I would practice this for months and months and months on end, and I would still never get anywhere because it's actually incredibly difficult to put that bend in the card and hold it there, raised above the deck like that, without pushing those cards out of alignment. And of course, if the cards go out of alignment even a little bit, you're completely sunk, right? Because once the cards go out of alignment, they're never going to go back into alignment during the course of that double turnover, right? So it's very important that the cards stay in alignment the entire time. Now, the traditional wisdom when I was growing up is that if there was a difficult method to do, and that was the correct natural method, you should practice that method until you learned it or die trying, essentially. And I've come to believe through the course of many, many years performing and many years now teaching magicians to work with these techniques, that that's not a particularly productive way to go about learning card magic. I actually prefer an approach which is a little bit more sort of like a yoga class, right? You should always be working on a technique and approach which is a little challenging to you, but not so challenging that it's hopeless, so that you can build your skills one little exercise at a time, so that gradually, as you practice and grow over a period of time, you feel your skill gradually increasing over time. And the more you can integrate techniques into the skill you're at right now so that you can work with them in some form or another, the much easier it is to step forward continually until eventually, in the fullness of time, you find yourself doing more advanced techniques than you ever might have thought possible before. So to show you what I mean, this is one of the techniques that I work with students on all the time, and it's a simplified version of that same exact moment in the Vernon turnover, designed so that you can avail yourself of that bend, which is going to make both the turnover itself easier because the cards stick together better, as well as turning the cards back over without getting another break because of that bend. You should be able to avail yourself of that, right? Even though you can't necessarily, when you're just learning, do this wonderful triangular space. And so this is how that would work. So what happens is, instead, when you move this card over, instead of having any triangular space there, the first thing I counsel students to do is to really work not to. You'll see here those fingertips are dropped down a little, so they're not raising above the side of the deck at all. Now that takes practice too, and what I'm really doing is as I slide this along, I let that double butt up against that first finger so the card is perfectly square, clamped down flat on the pack, and those fingertips aren't raising up at all. Now at this point, you're going to do the right hand take, and there's several different takes you can do. You can put your thumb here right along the center or come in from diagonal. And this is in fact one of the things we work on in class, and one of the things we'll be doing with students during the 8-week class is working with you to sort of find which of these grips is appropriate and effective for you and really sort of fine tune on some of these specifics. But the important thing is the thumb isn't here over on the side or way down on one of these edges. It's really right in near that center line, whether you're coming from this way or all sorts of grips. And what you do is you drag that card down and you let the pressure, what I really ask you to do is tilt down there with the wrist, and that keeps a certain pressure there. You can drag this straight down until the seam, you hit this seam right there where the left edge of the card butts up against the right long edge of the deck. It shouldn't be, especially when you're learning, off angle at all. It should be flat. Let me see here. Bam, and this comes down flat. Just like that. And when you get to the bottom here, that's when the bend goes in. And then relax, and you can complete the lift. And you can still get that exact same wonderful bend that Vernon had, and you can still come right back over without getting another break thanks to that bow in the cards. Come down, take the bend out, relax again, and complete the turnover action itself. So as I said before, it's just one technique of many that come together to make an effective, natural, truly deceptive double turnover sequence. But I think you'll find if you put some time and practice into it that it can have a really amazing overall effect on both your confidence and on the actual effect of the switch on your audience. When we do the 8-week course, it's been built and designed so that I have a few different rounds in between your practice sessions to help you refine and make corrections and polish your handling and technique. And so one of the things I have found working with students on this over the course of the last several years is that it does take correction and time to really bring it together. Only a few specific sessions, but those sessions really do help. So keep in mind if you're working on this by yourself that you really do have to have patience, you really do have to have refinement. Because sometimes I worry that the sort of free tutorial model here that we're working with, I'm doing my best to give you, for the limited time we have, a great deal of information, but I think it can lead folks to sometimes mistakenly believe that this is as simple as it is. And when in fact this is a process. It's like learning to play an instrument. It takes time, it takes patience, and I think it goes better if you have a little guidance and supervision along the way. So that's it for this very special episode of the Card Magic Minute. As I said, watch it quickly because it will not be up forever. If you like what you hear and you'd like to join us in mastering double lifts and turnovers, the new 8-week live online interactive course, you should email me. I'm Aaron at aaronfishermagic.com, or you can go to aaronfishermagic.com/coaching.htm and click the button that says group lessons, and you will find information on it there. And I think we'll even have a link specifically to it in the information block below this YouTube video. So thanks so much for watching. We will see you shortly with more magic.